Hey fellow gamers, Chatty Sisa here. If you're a Horizon fan, you're most probably already aware of this, but in case not, then there's a huge lawsuit going on between Sony and Tencent, which started because of a new Tencent game, Light of Motiram, that was called a Slavish clone of Horizon Zero Dawn. The ruling in this case might have larger implications on the gaming industry as a whole, so I'm covering this lawsuit on my channel not just because I'm a Horizon fan, but because I'm curious to see how this one will play out. And there's been some developments recently, so let's review them in detail. In case you don't know what happened, just very briefly, this lawsuit is going on since July of this year when Sony sued Tencent for a blatant copy of its Horizon Zero Dawn game. Light of Motiram is not out yet, however, we've seen about a year ago the first trailer for the game from Tencent, originally advertising its release within 2025. When you've seen the comparisons side by side of both games, you know exactly that this was practically inevitable. But if you'd like to get all the details and the full timeline, I highly recommend watching my previous vids on this topic, which will be linked at the end of this one. And just FYI, in case you're wondering about the background vid, that is the original trailer that was released by Tencent, and in the meantime they did remove it together with anything resembling Horizon from their Light of Motiram web pages, which happened a while ago but is seemingly also connected to the latest developments in the case. So the two companies continue to communicate, and since my last update in October, there was a new court filing from December 1st where they've reached a temporary truce in which Tencent accepts 3 strict conditions from Sony. To put it simply, first, Tencent must immediately pause all public promotion and testing for Light of Motiram. Second, they cannot argue in court that this delay was Sony's fault when the case resumes. And third, and that's the interesting bit, Motiram has to move the release date to Q4 2027. It's said it's because they expect the legal case to be over by then, but is this really the only reason? Horizon 3 speculations are still ongoing in terms of the release date here, and if it's going to be a PS6 flagship title, that would then also have a release date around the same time. Technically not so favorable if Sony would lose this lawsuit. Keep in mind also the delayed GTA 6 release date to November 2026. Many people say they wouldn't wonder if it got delayed again next November for another year, because if the PS6 would release just a short while later in 27, then they might want to sync this too. Historically, the PS reveals happen in summer with November launches, so it would pan out. So what's next for this lawsuit then? Sony and Tencent have jointly requested that the hearing for Tencent's motion to dismiss and Sony's injunction request happen on the same day, and that is January 29th, 2026. So I'll definitely get back to you when there's an update released. To explain the law gibberish a bit, Tencent's motion to dismiss is when the defendant in a lawsuit asks a judge to throw the case out early, arguing that even if everything the plaintiff says it's true, there's no legal reason for the case to continue or the case was filed improperly. It's a request to stop the legal process before it goes to trial, often because the complaint has legal flaws, lacks jurisdiction, or fails to state a valid claim. However, Sony counters with a preliminary injunction, and that is a temporary court order that is issued before a final trial, telling a party to do or stop doing something to preserve the situation, the status quo, until the court can make a final ruling, which is preventing irreparable harm that money can't fix, like stopping patent infringement or stopping a company from destroying evidence. In this case, it's to stop Tencent from continuing to market Light of Motiram and to cause ongoing damage to Sony this way. For me, the point here is less about a single new game damaging an IP like Horizon that will hardly have an impact on Sony, but it's more about the boundaries which will be set for new games in the future, that the studios will have to keep in mind when developing anything new. What is still just a common concept usage and what is already plagiarism. In the meantime, Sony is continuing to work on expanding the Horizon franchise. Alongside NCSoft, they recently announced Horizon Steel Frontiers. That's a new MMORPG coming to mobile and PC. According to AllKeyshop, this creates an interesting dynamic where an official MMO and the Tencent's clone were seemingly racing for similar market space. Rumors also persist that Sony is developing a separate dedicated Horizon MMORPG for the PS5, meaning they would cover most major platforms in the MMORPG segment. Whether you're a fan of the Horizon games or not, let's not forget that the franchise has, as of July 25, sold over 38 million copies, making it the 8th best-selling franchise overall for Sony, and Horizon Zero Dawn is the best-selling single game in the series, with over 21.6 million units sold across PS4 and PC as of late 24. It was also reported to be the top-selling PlayStation exclusive game ever made at one point. Naturally, they're going to protect their IP and take Tencent's blatant copy very seriously. But let me know what you think of this latest development in the comment section below, as I'm curious here. I've seen players' sentiment in favor of both sides, and you can see one of such examples of one of these debates on the screen right now. It would be interesting to see more opinions. If you like this vid, don't forget to hit the like button and share it, and if you want to be kept updated on this lawsuit, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified when there's a new vid. Thank you very much for watching, stay tuned and game on!